Hey everyone, my name is Candis Dyer and this is Canna Corner. We are broadcasted live every Monday at 7 p.m. from the Candis Dyer Facebook page. And we are also rebroadcasted on one of our sponsors, KM420 Radio's page, KM420 Radio on Sunday at 2 on the Mixler app. And y'all can listen. It's rebroadcasted every Sunday. And then again, on another one of our sponsors, WJAE 420, Wednesdays at 2. And I just wanted to thank our sponsors so much and let y'all know our newest sponsor, Roach and Bud. We love y'all. Go Green Botanicals, another amazing sponsor. And just wanted to let y'all know that we really appreciate y'all support and all the listeners. We appreciate y'all too. If you don't get to catch the replay of Canna Corner, or you don't get to catch the live, you can always go to the YouTube channel Canna Corner and find archive of all the videos over there. And I normally get that one uploaded right after I go live, so it should be there pretty quick. But today I got an amazing group of people. We're going to be talking to 3 are here right now. We may be getting Franny, but some technical difficulties. So we are going to start with the 3 that we have. We got Khadijah. She is going to be on, and Khadijah Adams is her name. Kevin Greene and Joyce Gerber. We will be having all of them in. They are the Courage in Cannabis authors, just a few of them. Courage in Cannabis, if y'all don't know, is a book series by Dr. Bridget Williams. And it's a collection of 18 diverse authors that share how cannabis changed their lives. I'm super honored to be able to introduce 4 of them to you today. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and bring them on. If y'all want to check out the Courage in Cannabis book, go to courageincannabis.com and you can find out more there. Let's go ahead and get them in here. Hey everyone, how are y'all doing? Can y'all hear me okay?
Yes, we loud and clear. How are you?
Awesome. I'm doing great, thank you. How are y'all doing? Did y'all have a good Memorial Day?
Today has been good here in Jamaica. I tell you, I actually ate a real salad, real lettuce, real tomato, real cucumber, real onions, and real bell pepper, like straight out of the ground.
That is awesome. It's always better when it comes out of the ground like that.
Oh my God, I'm enjoying myself.
Awesome. Well, I know that, and I'd let y'all know earlier that we're going to be starting from whoever's first on my screen, and then we're going to be going that way. So we're going to be starting with you, Khadijah. I'm going to go ahead and tell us a little bit about you, the Courage in Cannabis book, and your story and what got you involved.
Wow. Okay. So I don't really know where to begin, but I tell you, I've been an entrepreneur for a very long time, and I understand timing and positioning. So when Colorado decided to legalize cannabis for recreational consumption, I literally sold everything I had except for my computer, my cell phone, my clothes, and my car.
Wow.
And yeah, so I loaded up my car, drove to Colorado, and literally hit the ground running. This was in March 2014. In June, it was crazy. I went through a divorce. My team just dismantled, and I had to take responsibility. I lost everything that I had except for $10. I literally had $10 in the bank, literally $10. And so it took me like 4 months to earn about 5 figures, then 6 months, a total of 6 months to earn 6 figures. And I've been on a roll ever since. And, when you read my story, it's really about perseverance, and it's about not giving up. It's about, keeping your eye on a prize and, regardless as to what happens, divorce, losing your team. I don't believe I lost my team. I believe I dropped them off where they needed to be and got
Right.
enough.
Yeah, that's
And
how you got to look at it.
that's it. I mean, hey, look, I take full responsibility. And part of that though, when you fall on your face, part of it is being able to admit when you are the problem. See?
Yes, exactly.
And that you have to do some work on yourself, more so on yourself than in your business. And I had to put my head down, Candice, and I literally put my head down, and I had to pivot. I had to write a whole new business plan. I had to interview new people for my team because I had learned what not to do from my, picking my previous team. And then I had to work on some personal development for myself, get myself a business coach and also a life coach, because a business coach is not a life coach
Right.
in most cases. So that's my story. I am an accredited investor. I deploy capital in this space. I've deployed a lot of capital in this space for myself. I like to say over 6 figures, a nice little piece of change.
Heck yeah.
And I'm still, deploying capital and helping other Black and brown people enter this space, either as entrepreneurs, as business owners, or investors, or even as employees, just really helping people understand that this industry is wide open. It really is. It's not too late, and if you have a dream to come into this industry, then, by all means, follow that dream and don't allow anything or anyone to get in the way. And I have to tell you, I have some thick skin, and it takes that.
Right. It sure does. I know. And we got to have, we're our hardest critics too. So, I mean, we really are. And so sometimes you got to work on yourself and find out, what it is that isn't, we're always growing. We're always learning new things, and we're always changing. And if you're not learning that you have things that you need to change too, then you're not growing, because we're never going to learn everything. We always have something to learn. We can change our mind about certain things and stuff. So I love your story and how it's so inspirational, and you just were at the bottom and clawed yourself back into it. What caused your passion involving in this? What is that drive that got you wanting to be in the cannabis industry?
Well, I have to tell you that as an entrepreneur, I understand timing and positioning. And when Colorado legalized cannabis for recreational consumption, Candice, I'm gonna be honest with you, all I saw were dollar signs, right? I really thought that you could get rich quick, the whole 9 yards, right? And I came to Colorado, and man, the community taught me. There were a couple of women in the community that said, no, it's not even about the money. And if you're coming in here for just about the money, then, you may want to rethink some things. You may want to learn some things. It's much more deeper than that. Right. And I listened to them because, they had been in the industry years before anyone had legalized, whether it was California in 1996 or whatever. They had the experience, at least one of them did. And so I got involved in the community, and, went down to City Hall sometimes, and start meeting the veterans. And then I started doing my research, Candice, and I found out about the war on drugs and, how cannabis became illegal in the first place, why it became illegal in the first place, and the fact that so many Black and brown people have been incarcerated, killed, lost their jobs, the whole 9 yards. And then I just got pissed off. I was like, what? So I really wanted to really get into our communities, Black and brown communities, and share with them the how and why they need to get involved. Why did cannabis become illegal in the first place, and how it has affected Black and brown communities. And so I had to pivot my thinking. I had to change my thinking, that it wasn't about just the money. It was about more than that. And so I really just went on a whole rampage of, let me just get out here and tell everybody, and I don't care who doesn't like it, and blah, blah, blah,
Yeah, you
And,
find out you've been lied to your whole life, and this drug
and
war has been shoved down your throat, and it pisses you off. It really does. You're like, wait a minute, what else are y'all lying about? Like,
yeah, I mean, because honestly, in Texas, I mean, you know, the war on drugs and all of this and the dare and the blah, 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 and you're frying your brain and blah, blah, blah. I mean, this was beat into us literally, you know, but I had been consuming cannabis, you know, for a very long, let's just say for a very long time, right? It's been about 39, 40 years so far, okay? And, you know, I thought it was because, you know, it made me feel better. You know, it made me feel good. You
right.
know, I had to learn about the medicinal value. I had no idea about endocannabinoid systems. I had no idea about CBD. So I had to really re-educate myself about cannabis, the cannabis plant, where it came from, the whole 9 yards. And so, you know, I had to pivot and I had to change my mindset. I really did. And, you know, get out of the self-sabotage mentality, you know, that I was in, because listen, I picked my team, right? And it just didn't work out, but I chose them. You know, and then I went through a divorce, but guess what? I picked my husband too. So I was like, okay, girl, you got some self stuff to work on, you know. Exactly that part. So yeah, so I really just, you know, and then I'm, you know, during this process, I've helped, you know, now 17 people really get started in the industry and or expand in the industry in some capacity, you know. And I've met Dr. Bridget, you know, and it was amazing. She's amazing. She's just amazing. And during the process, I learned a lot with her too, you know, what she was doing in the cannabis space in Ohio. And so when she called me and asked me, she says, what do you think about this idea? And this is what I want to do. And I was like, man, let's get it done. Let's do it. I think it's a great idea, because other people out there need to hear the stories behind it, these true stories of heroes in this industry and even outside of this industry who are patient, you know, and this cannabis plant has really helped them. And so there's a lot of entrepreneurs out there just like me who come in this industry thinking that, hey, it's a get rich quick and let's get this money. And guess what? They hit a brick wall. And they have to learn some things. And so I believe reading my story will help them do just that, and to understand that it's not a get rich quick scheme, and you do have to roll up your sleeve, and sometimes you are going to lose everything. The key is sticking and staying and keeping your eye on the prize, being able to pivot and not allow anything or anyone, because honestly, Candice, people were talking about me, or at least I thought they were, and some of them probably still are, and I really don't care. Right. So I had
none of your business what people say about you.
It's not my business.
It just matters what you think about yourself.
That's it. And at the end of the day, if I wasn't real, I wouldn't be here.
Exactly.
And so a lot of people, I've seen a lot of people come and go. Big companies come and go. And I'm still here. And now I'm in Jamaica, okay, planning for my retirement. So if that doesn't say enough, I don't know what does. So my goal and my reason for agreeing, because Dr. Bridget asked me, you know, to share my story, you know, and I shared just a little bit because I am writing another book, you know, for my full entire life story. But I shared a little bit because if it just inspires one entrepreneur out there who's been going at it and grinding and keep hitting the brick wall, just know when you keep hitting the wall, you know you're getting it, right? So at some point you're going to burst through that wall. So just keep going, right? Just keep going, but you're going to hurt your head sometime. You're going to hurt your head sometime, but that's okay. There's a lot of Tylenol and aspirin and stuff like that. Take a few, pop a few.
And cannabis.
And get back up.
Amen. Hell yeah. I totally love that. So if anybody wants to go and read your story, where would they go to find it?
Yeah, so for Courage In Cannabis, you can actually go to courageincannabis.com. You can actually, if you want an autographed copy from me, you would go to send me an email, info@khadijahadams.com, and I will send you over the link. Or you can go on my website, khadijahadams.com.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. And you can stick around, and I'm going to go ahead and move on to the next person. It was a pleasure meeting you. And thank you so much for sharing your story.
And thank you for having me. I appreciate you.
Definitely. Next, we have Kevin Greene. How are you doing, Kevin?
Still muted. Hey, I'm doing good. Good. How you doing tonight?
Doing great, doing great. I'm so excited to be able to introduce y'all to the cannabis community. I was telling Dr. Bridget that it's just crazy how we ended up meeting. I started Canna Corner for the reason of getting patients' stories out there because she's right. It's so much more than just the money. There's and education is the key. So I think it's amazing what y'all are doing. Do you want to tell the community a little bit about yourself and what got you involved?
Yes. So my name is Kevin Greene. I'm an entrepreneur at heart, and also right now one of the owners and the current vice president of Cleveland School of Cannabis. That's actually how I got introduced, or how I met Dr. Bridget, was going to an event, scouting staff, and looking for faculty in the Columbus area. And saw her on a panel, and I just really, really loved her approach, and was like, "Hey, I would love to have you part of the school." And and we really had a lot of synergy around our collective goals around education and how important that is. And that was really how I got into the cannabis industry, truthfully, overall, was seeing that there was a real opportunity to help educate people to take advantage of the industry as this thing was coming to the Midwest, as it was coming east. As Khadijah talked about, a lot of people that were able to jump on early in the cannabis industry, they couldn't do it at home. They had to go to Colorado, they had to go to California. So I always remember sitting there, I grew up in northern New Jersey, like, this thing is never coming here.
Right.
When you grow up outside of New York, it's just a whole different vibe compared to the West Coast, the Northeast. So, when things started really moving, you're like, wow, this is starting to happen. So it's just really been a great opportunity to be a part of, so many people's lives, and an opportunity to provide them a space to do something where they might have had a passion about it, but no real education. They might have done some things in the legacy market, but we're figuring how to legitimize themselves and put them in positions and network and really tighten up the skill sets that they might have built in that space. So to see, especially as Khadijah talked about, a lot of the different opportunities that have come of it for so many different people, being able to be a part of that journey with individuals, and currently seeing, what they're doing as well, was just, it's just a great part of the entire process, I think, from the lens that I get to see the industry and being part of the education side.
Right, right. It's very new, and we're learning new things about it every day. And education really is the key. Like, Dare spent so much money, I say this all the time, but it's true, pushing on us this drug war, this horrible, it's going to make you kill your spouse, and you're going to see things that aren't there, just like this agenda that they pushed, this racist agenda that they pushed. And it's just so outdated, and it's going to take us putting and spending just as much money and time as they did on TV commercials and come into our school and telling us how horrible it was, to change that and to educate people on the real story. Look, they've been lying to us. This is really cannabis, and it's an amazing plant, and it does so many amazing things. And it just takes us sharing our stories. You know what I mean? And they may not be able to relate to me and my PTSD, but they may be able to relate to you or somebody else that had cancer or something and cured it. We just got to find what it is that they care about and they can relate to make them go, oh, wait, maybe I should go look into it a little bit more. And once they start digging into it, they have no choice but to say, wait, okay, like we did. No,
Exactly.
something's not right here.
I think that's the cannabis has had a very odd life cycle in the sense of its history, right? Cannabis was a part of human life. That's why we have the endocannabinoid system, right? It's a part of the mammals' lives, right? And a part of our body. It's always been there. It's been there for quite some time. And then, in the last 100 years, it was taken away from our agenda. I always say, the war on drugs, or all of the focus around that campaign, was the best marketing campaign ever to be run, because it was the longest, it was intensive, it was very, very focused, and it's still effective today, in that sense, right? So to just think about that, it's just shows how far we have to go, in a sense of really closing the gaps. Even being in the space, things change every single day because we're starting to get, some of the great minds, and some of the great opportunities to, put cannabis in place. I think that's the one thing Courage In Cannabis really did, was it showed you multiple different lenses of how individuals, one, overcame their fear of really being proud and being able to stand on 2 feet fully and say, I'm in the cannabis industry, this is what I do, but also
People
really
don't
in the sense of
realize how devastating that can be to come out pro cannabis. Like, people lose a lot of friends and financial backing and stuff. They're like, what, you're a stoner, you know what I mean? And
exactly.
they don't realize how hard it is. And then being parents, having a, CPS, or is gonna, well, I got a kid, you know what I mean? All these fears that we have, but that the community that you end up gaining is so worth the loss. I love the cannabis community and every one of the people that have worked so hard to get this plant, and the laws changed on it. And I think it's so much better, honestly.
Yeah. I think the beautiful thing about the cannabis industry, right? Obviously, a lot of things have gone, in the sense of disenfranchisement, the war on drugs, all these different systematic things that have happened. But when you talk about community, one thing that I think about cannabis, the power of this plant is so powerful because it's way more than even the medicinal benefits, which are great, is the fact that the plant is a textile, right? So the cannabis community is probably the one product, other than probably air and water, that we all really need to interact with, right? There's a system in our body, and even from a textile standpoint, our ability to be able to interact and use cannabis. So, the cannabis community is really going to continue to grow, day over day, as we continue to educate ourselves and really connect ourselves and really start to, as you said, challenge our thought process, challenge our norms in the sense of what we thought things were. Because if we think about anything that we thought wasn't going to be the thing, 10 years ago, it's probably the thing now, and we can say that pretty much every decade, right? In that situation. So if we learn from our mistakes, is to really go ahead and get ourselves positioned to at least understand before we make judgment calls. I always say it's everyone's right to choose, but making sure that we have the right information so we can choose, and choose with all the facts,
Right.
so that we can make the best decision for ourselves.
For sure. And what is the passion behind your reasoning for wanting to start this? I know we all have that passion, that one thing that just made us go, I've got to do something to make a difference. Like,
for me, and my personal story in the book, and being the forward, was really just talking about kind of the full, I guess it's a 360 when things come in full circle to 180 when you make a change, right? So kind of the full 360 for me, for being a Jamaican immigrant coming to this country, my family members directly having been affected by the war on drugs, and then in the last 5 years running a cannabis school, to see that full circle come through in a sense of that progress is one of those things that, and I think Khadijah touched on as well, I think everyone can say, is that you have these moments in your lives where, you do hit that bottom, you do have those struggles, and, really being able to kind of pick yourself up, and then just blessed in the sense of the adults in my family that was doing that when I was a child, and, instill those values in myself as well, being able to see that this is an opportunity to really write somebody's story very, very different, in the sense of that, right? For those young people, and older individuals, right, that are saying they want to go ahead and take a chance and they're looking for that support. I think, that's one of the biggest things that I have a passion about, is really inspiring people, and then really trying to provide them as much guidance and support as I can in multiple different things that I do from a business world, a nonprofit world, as well in the community side, and I really, really do believe, as you said, the cannabis community is all about, really, it's always been about a community. It's about sharing. It's about coming together, right? It's about, being able to connect. So I think, with those type of values, for me, that really speaks a lot in the sense of who's the person that I want to be and the kind of impact that I want to make. So being able to have an opportunity to do that. And as I said, through the education space, you get to see individuals like, I remember the first time we did one of our weekend courses, and the parents, they were like, what is this cannabis thing? Is it really serious? Is my, child going to be able to really go ahead and do something with it? And then they come and take this weekend course with their kid.
Wow.
To see that connection where you're actually having households finally come together and not being torn apart, because we just go back a decade, the same household be being torn apart.
Yes.
The lack of support, especially at the crucial years of an individual really moving into adulthood and trying to, figure out who you want to be for the rest of your life. I think we're also trying to figure out exactly who we're going to be the rest of our lives, but we put the pressure, you start getting that question at 13.
For sure. No, that's awesome. I love the fact that you have a school and the parents can sorry, you were breaking up a little bit. I was trying to
to see that opportunity. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. Yeah, you were blotching a little bit. So it's saying, hold on. Sorry, I just wanted people to be able to hear you. I think it's awesome that you offer that the parents to come in and take the class with the kids. That's amazing. But
it's time to, as I said, it's time to really go ahead, and it's the awesome thing about it is that, when that does happen, you hope that it starts to bleed through the family as a generational thing, right? How can cannabis help the elders in that home and that family be able to heal better, more holistic? Khadijah talked about being able to get, the food out of their ground. What better than cannabis, incorporating that into your wellness toolkit, as Dr. Bridget always says. And then obviously, looking at the economic opportunities for, all individuals to be able to go in and get into careers or create an entrepreneurship opportunity, entrepreneurial opportunity for themselves. It's a really, really powerful plan. This whole thing is really doing a lot of different things. And the awesome thing about it is that we're just getting started. We're really just getting started, and we're in the infancy of this whole entire thing. So it's going to be really, really interesting and really an awesome ride to see all the innovation and all the things that come from it. Especially in the last, 5 years, we've seen the blow up of edibles and all these other ways of interacting with cannabis. Who knows what's next, but we know there's definitely more to come.
Definitely. And how would people get a hold of your book if they want to read the story, the Courage in Cannabis book, your signed copy, I guess?
Yep. So, definitely, always remember CourageInCannabis.com, and my email as well, at Kevin Greene at CSCEducation.com, and that's Kevin Greene at CSCEducation.com.
Awesome. And that's where they get a hold of you. How would they get a hold of you about the school?
Same email as well. So being able to contact me, we'll be able to go ahead and always can look up Cleveland School of Cannabis, Google us, get on our website, go ahead and learn about us and some of the things that we're doing on campus starting this fall. One of the very few schools in the country to hold that research license. So we're excited about that next step.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Kevin, for coming on. And I really enjoyed hearing all about it. And you can go ahead and stay with us, or you can be free to leave or whatever. I'm going to go ahead and go on to Joyce now.
All right. Appreciate you.
Hi, Joyce. How are you doing?
I'm good. This is fun. It was good to see Khadijah. She looked great. And I've actually never met Kevin, so it was nice to hear more about his story. So that was nice.
Heck yeah. Well, thank you so much for coming on. You want to go ahead and tell the cannabis community about how you got involved with Courage in Cannabis? And
absolutely. All right. Hi, Candice. Well, thank you for inviting me on. So my name is Joyce Gerber. I am the creator and host of an award-winning podcast that I record right here in Cambridge, Massachusetts, called the Canna Mom Show, where we're talking to women in this emerging industry. I am finishing up season 3 in June. I have over 120 shows, but I've definitely spoken to more than 200 women in this industry. And my story in Courage in Cannabis is a little bit different than some others. Can you hear the plane?
Oh, it's okay.
It's like a flight pattern over my house. A lot of the women I speak to who are in this industry, they've healed themselves or they've healed someone they love using this plant. And that is really why they can stay in this very difficult industry. My story is a little bit different. I am a lawyer by training. I didn't really have much of a relationship with cannabis. I used it, but I believed everything they told you, was dangerous and killed brain cells and you should go to jail for a joint. Yeah, I believe that. So 2016, my husband Rick and I went out to Denver, Colorado I call it my Cannabis Awakening.
Right.
So we did a private tour of the industry just out of curiosity. I met a woman named Goldie Soledar who picked us up in her SUV. She had products in the back. And then she took us to a dispensary, and then she started to tell us the history. And I was like, I knew that everything I knew was wrong. I understood everything I knew about it was literally just wrong. So I came back to Massachusetts. This is 2016. I have 2 kids. They were teenagers at the time. We were like, everything we know about cannabis is wrong. They were psyched.
Right.
And then in 2016, the people, and then in 2016 in Massachusetts, and then at the end of that year, I lost a contract position I was working on ended, and then in 2017, I literally became like another invisible middle-aged woman, and sort of found cannabis backwards, really.
Well, that's amazing. That's amazing. So, what is your passion? What got you started other than your awakening? Like what you said, you talk about that aha moment. Did you know anybody that, well, you said you were a lawyer. So how are your thoughts on the jail system and people going to, I know before you probably seen a lot of people going into jail for a plant. What were your thoughts on, that once you realized what cannabis was and that all these people are going to prison for it?
So I will tell you, so when I decided I was going to go into the world of cannabis, I thought I would go into cannabis law because it was new.
Right.
And I could see that a lot of criminal attorneys were going into cannabis law. That was sort of the funny joke part of it.
Right.
But it was like something new. Like you never get to be part of something new. And my real story, the story I tell in Courage In Cannabis is really about being, a woman I'm 57 years old. I'm a woman of a certain generation. I was told I should do everything the boys did, which I did. My whole generation did. We got our degrees, we had our children, we tried to stay in the world of work, but there are literally no support systems in this country to take care of children. And This is my message about this caregiving plant. So I ended up taking time off from my world of monetized work because children don't raise themselves. I don't know if people know this.
Right. Yes.
So every time I came back into the world of monetized work, I would get it was like a mark against me. So when I knew that cannabis law was something that was new and I could sort of start at the same level as other people, I was excited about it. And that was my original intention. I was going to make money. I always joke about this. My intention was to make money and I was going to become a cannabis attorney.
Right. That's awesome. Hell yeah. It's funny.
But I did it.
Right. Yeah. A lot of times we have a plan that we see ourselves going one way, and then the higher power, whatever you want to call it, God or whatever it is that anybody or nobody, whatever, has another plan for you. And you're like, oh, okay. It's amazing how that works out. But I'll tell you what, it always ends up being probably better than what we thought, for sure.
I mean, right now I'm on my back porch because it's weirdly hot here in Boston. It's never hot here. So I'm on the back porch, and this is actually, I have my, I set up as a bong porch. I have all my smoking paraphernalia out here.
Oh, wow.
When my kids came home, so my kids they were college age during the pandemic. They were sent home like refugees, and we consumed together, and we were really nice to each other.
Right. Yeah, definitely. I bet. No.
Transition.
Cannabis has saved my life, and one of the major fears that I had of coming out and in the open was the fact that I am a mom.
It's dangerous. It's still dangerous for a lot of people.
I'm in Texas, and they are very, very against it here still. Even the medical we get is just crazy. And it's just a really hard thing to do, as a parent, and being scared, you might get your kids taken away and stuff. But it was just the passion for me in it was, that's not right. We should be able to speak up. There's all this proof that cannabis isn't bad. And like, I got off of all kinds of pills. I was on 1 milligram Xanax a day. And that was something that they didn't want me to get off of because I was prescribed by a doctor, but like, it was making me worse. It was horrible drug. It was very addicting and it was making me worse. It wasn't helping. And so, but it was very hard, but I wanted to tell people, look, there's a better option. Like, this is so much better. And I know you were talking about how you wanted to get involved in the law part of it and everything. But
yeah, I would say your story, the story of why, I don't think, if you're not in the industry, you don't understand how difficult and weird it is. It's like the real world, but upside down.
right.
I'm a podcast. On a podcast, it talks about cannabis. I trademarked the name, the Canna Mom Show. I set up an LLC as the Canna Mom Show, and I really had a hard time getting. So, this is a really interesting industry to be part of as it's being built.
For sure, for sure. So how would people get a hold of you if they want your signature book, I guess, or go to the Courage in Cannabis website?
So I'm finishing up season 3 of the Canna Mom Show, and we're actually doing a crowdfunding campaign through the end of June to support, so we can tell more stories in season 4 in September. I have the signed book is on there. You can get it on my website. There's a crowdfunding link. And if you're interested in for sponsors for the show, I have a website, the Canna Mom Show. I'm on Instagram at the Canna Mom Show. I'm on Instagram, and now we started YouTube, but YouTube kept taking me down, so I am not on YouTube anymore.
Man, I hate how that happens. They love to censor anything cannabis.
It was me and my cat. It was really not racy.
Oh wow. Well, thank you so much, Joyce, for coming on. And it looks like we lost the other two. I don't know, the internet was kind of being weird a minute ago, but luckily we got through it. Everybody got their story.
Right. I mean, and the book has been really a fabulous vehicle. I'm in Massachusetts. Khadijah's now in Jamaica. Kevin's in Ohio. We have people across the country telling these stories. And just like Kevin was saying, you might not relate to my story, or you might, I'm a middle-aged white lady from Massachusetts who, plays tennis and wears pearls. And I talk about cannabis, all sorts of different, sharing their stories about, this is about health and wellness. And when Kevin talks about transforming our economy, I talk about going from carbon to cannabis. We can use hemp for a lot of things. We don't even get into hemp usually, right. But that's big. That is much bigger than cannabis.
Sure.
I do talk like cannabis solves every problem. I know it doesn't, but in terms of health and wellness, like your story proves, it has to stop being the thing that people come to for the last resort. It's unnecessary. It's just unnecessary. And the more people like you who share your stories, the more transparent it is. And the moms are really powerful, like High Society and Mama. These ladies are really changing the narrative because they're very passionate. They've been evangelized, and they're not giving up, and they're not going to be deterred. And it's not just about the money. Hopefully the money will come. But right now it's not.
And that's what I love about this industry. And I asked everybody, what's your passion? And because knowing the hits you take coming out, knowing how scary it is, there's always some passion that drove us and said, I don't care what the costs are, but I'm going to still tell everybody about what I know now. And there's always, if you don't have that passion in this industry, I think, then like Khadijah was saying, you go in it for just the money. There's just so much more about it. You have to have that passion and drive, because it's not an easy thing. There is an instruction manual on how to do this, and we're making it as we go because it was illegal for so long. So it's all new.
Yeah, and I will say, and that's the power of the Yeah, right. It's the power of the women in this industry. You can see it. There's a network across the country. This can be built just like everything else. It's always about the capital. I mean, that's a big issue, which Khadijah is brilliant and talks about that all the time. Like building these collaborative relationships, girls compete, women collaborate. This plant is a caregiver. We are the caregivers. This industry should be built in her image. So that's the message I give all the time. And the message in the book is really whatever skill set you have, we need you. Come on board. We need you. Go to
Definitely.
Kevin's school, get some money from Khadijah, and join us.
Heck yeah. And yeah, I didn't get a chance to talk about Khadijah's other thing that she does. I don't know if you know a little bit about it. We can plug her a minute. I was going to go back to her, but it looks like we've lost her.
She's an awesome business coach. I will say, so I have a sponsored podcast, the Canna Mom Show, and last month Khadijah was actually our sponsor. So if you want to learn more about what she does, I talk about her on the show.
Awesome.
She brings business coaching ideas, helping women develop businesses, really focused on women entrepreneurs. And we featured one of her clients who is building a cannabis retreat, starting it up. She tells you how it is. She's not, Khadijah's Khadijah, and she's
Right.
pretty powerful. And I think she's scaring a lot of white dudes. They invite her to all their events, so they like her. But she says what she's going to say, and she does what she's going to do. And she's a phenom, and cannabis is lucky to have her.
Right, for sure. Definitely. Well, I love all y'all. Thank y'all so much for coming on. I love what y'all are doing. Thank you for getting your stories out there. And I will plan on learning all about your stories as we go, and hopefully get another 4 authors on next month. And I want to get a chance to get all y'all on. And so this is how we decided to try to do it.
Well, I appreciate the opportunity. Again, I am out here in Massachusetts. We're all across the country. We're trying to, share these stories so that, we can change the narrative around cannabis. That's the best. Stories are how we're going to do it.
For sure. For sure. Well, thank you so much, Joyce. And you have a wonderful night.
Thanks, Candace. This is great. Good night.
Good night. Heck yeah, y'all. So that is the Courage in Cannabis crew, 4 of them. Dr. Bridget, it's a series book. I know that they're looking for more stories. So y'all go to courageincannabis.com if you're interested in that. And just go show them some love. I really like what they're doing over there. It really is. Education is the key. We got to teach people why it is that this plant is so great, and why it seems to cure everything is because it's basically a vitamin deficiency. We used to have it in our bodies all the time back in the day. Our cows ate it, everything. And then when they took that out, our endocannabinoid system is there for a reason. We need those cannabinoids, and it was basically like a vitamin deficiency. So like with iron, if you don't get enough of it, your body reacts. Well, same thing with cannabinoids. You don't get enough of it, your body starts reacting. And then once it gets that back, and your body starts going into a like homeostasis, and it helps with so much. It really does. And that's why, because it's missing in our diet and we need it. It's a vitamin. Whether you get it through ingesting it, or whether it helps us with hemp plastic make our environment better. There is nothing that it doesn't do. It's a super miracle plant. And it shouldn't be putting people in prison. It shouldn't be, people should be allowed to grow it in their own homes. It hasn't ever hurt anybody. So go check them out, Courage in Cannabis. I did want to announce this season's last episode of Mile High News on the Edge Show will be coming out Wednesday at 7. I had an amazing time working with them and doing the Mile High News. And I know that I'm going to miss everybody, but I had a great time doing it. And hopefully y'all catch it on Wednesday at 7 on YouTube, The Edge Show. It also comes out on Fayetteville Public Television. I'm not sure the links on that though, but go look up The Edge Show on Facebook and WJAE420.com. That's her radio station, and go show her some love. Great group of people. And I'm really going to miss working with them, but I had a blast. Thank y'all so much for the opportunity. Also, we have an event coming up, and I'm super excited about this too, y'all. If y'all know me from 5 years of getting on here and talking to y'all, getting out on the streets is what keeps me going. And so I'm super excited to announce that we're going to be having a end prohibition protest worldwide. Carrie Cannon is doing this. She's organizing it. There's a Facebook group I'll put in the comments. I believe it's called In Prohibition, but I'm not sure. I'll try to put it down in the comments on the show. Or you can check out my Facebook page, Candis Dyer, and I share about it all over there too. So you can check it out over there. But she asked if we would do the DFW area, and I was like, hell yeah. So y'all, KM420 Radio, Roach and Bud presents the 2020 worldwide In Prohibition protest on 7/10 from 2 to 6. Join Pothead and some more amazing cannabis activists from all over, and we will be protesting to end cannabis prohibition worldwide. We will be at Hempy's in Arlington, Texas. There's going to be giveaway, fellowships, hot dogs, balloons. KM420 Radio and Canada Corner will be doing interviews. You can, that is at Hempy's Emporium Smoke Shop, 3115 South Cooper Street, Suite 275 in Arlington, Texas, 76015. Come meet a lot of amazing activists who have been fighting hard to end cannabis prohibition here in Texas and worldwide, y'all. It's going to be an amazing time. KM420 Radio and Canada Corner will be there doing interviews. Like I said, get your picture with Pothead. Troy with Roach and Bud are going to be there. They're going to have a bunch of merch, and he said something about doing giveaways, and Hempy's said something about doing hot dogs and balloons. So it's just going to be a great time, and come meet everybody from 2 to 6, 7/10. I'm really excited about getting back out there, make up some signs. We get out there on the streets and get people to honk. And it's just so amazing. The energy is so great, and hang in with so many wonderful people. It's fun. So I hope y'all can go and hang with us from 2 to 6 on 7/10 at Hempy's in Arlington. Thank y'all so much. I guess I'm going to go ahead and end the show on that note. I think I wanted to let y'all know about the Canna Corner news and events in Texas. If y'all go follow that page, I'll be keeping up with all these events, these great cannabis people that are in the industry, and introducing y'all to them, the entrepreneurs, the activists, bringing, of course, cannabis stories for Canna Corner. And so y'all go check out that Facebook group, Canna Corner News and Events. We will also be doing highlights once a month on a cannabis it's a cannabis business and a cannabis activist or entrepreneur. So a person and a business, like once a month, I'm going to start doing special highlights and getting them in to talk about what they do. So it's going to be a great time. Thank y'all so much for everything y'all do. Thank you again to our sponsors, Roach and Bud, Go Green Botanicals, WJAE 420, Roach and Bud, KM420 Radio. Love y'all so much. And please like and share and go subscribe to the YouTube channel. Much love and respect to everyone. Peace.